Greg Ehrenberg here with Adam Schroeder. It is the Wednesday edition of the NBA Injury Report. And just when I thought that there was NBA players, I thought they were immune from COVID. It's been so long since somebody has tested positive in the NBA circle. But we have a big one today. Devin Booker, he's going to be out. We're going to save that for last. Tease a little bit. Stick around to the end where you guys can hear us talk about Devin Booker, because that is going to be the most impactful news on today's slate. Also, like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out all the other content we have today. NBA Deeper Dive live before lock. Adam also has his tournament strategy videos that he's put out. Check out all of that. If you guys have any questions about anything at all that we talk about here, leave us a question in the comments section below. But talking about what we do have today, once again, Devin Booker is going to be the biggest news, but still some other things that could be pretty impactful. Starting with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and this is a situation that we've talked about quite a bit as of late, but a little bit different now because Darius Garland has been upgraded to questionable, and he went through shoot around today. Karis LeVert remains out. So it does seem like there's a pretty good chance that Garland comes back into the picture. If he plays, what do you expect from Adam? But if he's out, are we going back to Brandon Goodwin?
If he plays, I'm assuming that he can get 32, 33 minutes. It's not like he's been out for a really prolonged period of time. It's more so been that he's in and out of the lineup. But I assume that they're being it strikes me as a situation where it's more likely that they're being cautious as far as not bringing him back until they're confident that he's good to go, more so than that they're going to baby him once he's back. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if you just get, pretty normal run from him. He's affordably priced. He's in a good matchup. So I would be interested in going to him if he plays. If he's out, I think just more of the same from Brandon Goodwin. The price tag is getting more expensive to the point where, yeah, he probably needs to play at an above average level to put up a score that you're really happy with at $6,000 on DraftKings. But at the same time, he still doesn't have a backup. He's still likely to play 36 minutes or so. And he's not a bad fantasy producer. He's around a 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy in a good matchup here. So I understand there's a little bit of sticker shock when you say, oh, wow, Brandon Goodwin's 6K now. But, it's pretty much where he should be priced, I think, if Garland is out.
Yeah, scored over 40 fantasy points last game, so it's hard to deny that there's still upside in that 60 fantasy point in that 6K number because he did it last game. Moving on, this is one that I think is a little bit harder to find value from, but not that many players on the injury report today, so I still think it's worth talking about. Houston Rockets, really difficult matchup against the Utah Jazz. Eric Gordon is resting today. Dennis Schroeder is questionable. Kevin Porter Jr. is returning after missing last game. Do you see any added value coming to the Houston Rockets if Dennis Schroeder is out in addition to Eric Gordon?
Maybe. I mean, it's this spot is so rough because for one, you have just a horrible matchup against Utah, but for two, you have like a bunch of really bad point per minute guys too, and everybody's pretty much correctly priced. So, like if Schroeder's out, maybe Kevin Porter gets a little bit more usage, but I mean, we've seen Kevin Porter play most of the season without Schroeder, so it's not like you can project him for that much of a bump. Jalen Green and Jayshawn Tate would still have to, be sharing the ball with Kevin Porter and Christian Wood. Maybe you get more minutes for Garrison Matthews at 3,400. Maybe you get more minutes for some combination of Kenyon Martin Jr. and Josh Christopher. I think that's probably where the biggest impact would be. But at the same time, how excited are you going to get if you get 30 minutes instead of 26 from Garrison Matthews against Utah? I think it would make them playable, but it's still pretty tough to be prioritizing them.
Yep. Wouldn't be very excited about Garrison Matthews. As we're talking through it, almost wish I hadn't included that in the list of injuries I was going to bring up here, but not that many to hit on once again, like I said before. So just a couple more to hit on. Also, guys, don't forget the NBA Injury Report is sponsored by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. If you have not signed up for Yahoo yet, you could do it using the link in the description box below. If you head on to Yahoo, make a deposit, enter a contest, get yourself 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, get behind our paywall, and get access to all the tools you need to build winning NBA DFS lineups. All right, moving on with the rest of the injury report. Next one, and this one's a little bit more significant. I didn't think the Oklahoma City Thunder injury report could get any longer. And then it did, because now we've got Aaron Wiggins out as well. So Wiggins, Jeremiah Robinson are all Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, Ty Jerome, Kendrick Williams, Mike Muscala are all out. People are going to once again flock to SGA in a pretty high number. He's going to be one of the more popular plays on the slate. Are you looking to get back to SGA at his high ownership number, Adam? And then is there anybody else that stands out from OKC?
Yeah, I mean, I think getting back to SGA is fine. We know he produces at a really high rate. Excuse me, without Josh Giddey, and he's he's 10K, so he's getting more expensive, but he's around a 1.4 to 1.5 fantasy point per minute guy. The biggest concern is that there's obviously plenty of risk that Denver just runs OKC off the floor, and that maybe you don't get quite as many minutes for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander down the stretch. But I think even if you project him for like 33 or 34 minutes instead of 36 that he would get in a game that goes down to the wire, he still looks pretty good at that price tag. The ownership is just like a little bit scary, but I think there are some other pieces you can potentially consider here because this team is getting really, really shorthanded. No Aaron Wiggins now either. I think it's likely that Pokusevski plays 26 to 28 minutes. And one thing I mentioned on the strategy show this morning is that, Pokusevski is a fine point per minute guy anyway, but the bulk of his minutes are going to be coming against the god-awful Denver second unit as well. So you're not talking about him playing against a good team whatsoever for a lot of the minutes that he's on the floor. Makes him look a little bit more appealing. Last game, we got basically 48 minutes between Isaiah Roby and Olivier Sarr. Roby was in some foul trouble, so he was on the short end of that split. But if you get 26 minutes for Roby, 22 for Sarr, again, that's assuming that favors DNPs, which isn't a guarantee. They would both look decent at their price tags. Vic Krejci started the second half and played almost 30 minutes last game. He's not a great point per minute guy, but he is 3K flat. There's a lot of minutes for a lot of very mediocre to bad players on OKC outside of SGA.
All right, now let's hit on the biggest news of the slate. Devin Booker has played a massive role for the Phoenix Suns as of late because Chris Paul's been out. Well, now Devin Booker's in the health and safety protocol. So with no Chris Paul or Devin Booker in the backcourt, there is some good news for Phoenix because Cam Payne has been upgraded to probable, but he also hasn't played in about 6 weeks. So a couple of things we have to tackle here. First, where do you think the usage goes to on Phoenix, Adam? And then second part, what can we expect out of Cam Payne from a minute standpoint when he hasn't played in 6 weeks?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the usage for one goes to Cameron Payne because that guy is not afraid to shoot. Beyond that, I don't know. I mean, like, is it DeAndre Ayton? Like, Mikal Bridges isn't a high usage guy. Cameron Johnson can get some more shots up, but not really his game either. It's not Jay Crowder's game. I don't really know. I mean, Cameron Payne, I think, is going to have a monster usage rate for whatever minutes he's on the floor. To answer the other question, I also don't know. My assumption is that he can play a decent amount here because it was a wrist injury, not a lower body injury. He's been going through practice. Assuming he starts, I think I would probably expect something like 28 minutes with the potential for more, maybe, depending on his conditioning. If he comes off the bench, I would assume he's still getting like 22 to 24. So I think one way or the other, he's going to look like a very good option at 4,300, given that he's going to be able to shoot every time he touches the ball. But outside of that, I mean, I guess it just makes all of Ayton, Bridges, Johnson, Crowder look better because even though they aren't high usage guys by nature, it's not like the guys on the bench are either. Like Aaron Holiday's a low usage guy, Torrey Craig, Landry Shamet, none of them are high usage guys either. So I think it might just be these guys have to, kind of step up as a group collectively.
Yeah, it's certainly a really good spot for Phoenix against Portland. A lot of playing time, a lot of usage up for grabs. We're going to need a little bit more info here. We're going to need a starting lineup. We're going to need some beat reporters to tell us what kind of minutes restriction Cam Payne has, if any, which is information we should have later in the day. So, guys, check out the Deeper Dive live before lock. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You know all that goes live. If you have any questions about anything we've talked about or anything we didn't talk about, leave that in the comment section below. Good luck tonight.